this series that we're beginning, this series Close Enough to Change, is really the heart of this series, is the second part of that mission. Together, fully follow him. And there's so many people that ask questions. Like, what does that mean? What does that even look like? Is it possible to fully follow him? And is it possible that I could be saying I am fully following him, but I might be missing out on the joy or the life that brings? But maybe you're here and you're new, and you're like, I don't even know who this Jesus is, and I don't even know if I really want to follow him. That's a big deal. Well, I'm glad you're here. In fact, I think there's something we can all agree on, which is a big deal for our culture, because we have so many things that we disagree about. There are so many reasons to argue. Like, for instance, pineapple on pizza. Is it a masterpiece or an abomination? You talk that out. Not only that, cereal. Is it a soup? Like, it's got liquid, there's some stuff inside of it. Could it be a soup? Or the new debate, 100 men versus 1 gorilla. Who wins? There's so many things that our culture is debating about, so many things that are arguing about. Hot dogs? Are they sandwiches? Or are they even in the food category at all? There's so many things for us to argue and disagree about. But there's one thing I think we can all agree. Like, there's gotta be a meaning to all of this. We can't just be here merely existing, going through the routines of life. There's gotta be something. There's gotta be a reason for all of this. It can't be that I was born a child who wants more stuff, more things, more toys, and then I get older. And what do I want? More stuff, more things, more toys, bigger things, bigger stuff, and bigger toys. No, there's gotta be something more than that. But how do you know that? Why? Because there's been so many people who have said they've gotten to the level of success that you would think would be great. They've made many achievements, but they still find themselves empty. For example, recently I heard an interview with a guy named Shaquille O'Neal. If you don't know who he is worth over $500 million. He's got 4 NBA championships, some with the Lakers, heyo, 3 NBA Finals MVPs and 1 MVP. He also has he's also a 15-time All-Star. And yet recently he said in an interview, I was lost. 76,000 square foot house by yourself, lost. No kids. I go to the gym and nobody's playing in the gym. You go to the room and nobody's there. You start to feel it, lost. Not only has he been saying, I'm sensing and wanting something bigger, something more, but even recently, people like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man is saying there's got to be something more to life than this. How can it be, though, that people who seemingly have it all together, seemingly have it all figured out, seemingly have everything, are still missing something? Could it be possible that we are missing out on the very thing that gives us life? To better understand this, I've got to tell you a story. One time, my wife texts me while at work and says, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you pick me up some spaghetti sauce? So, as I respond as a good husband, of course I can. What ends up happening is right after work, I go and I make 2 huge mistakes. The first mistake was I went hungry shopping. Have you ever went shopping and you were hungry? It always goes bad. The second mistake that I did was I decided to go to Walmart. Why is Walmart a bad idea? 1, because it's Walmart. 2, because you all never go to Walmart intending to get one thing and end up leaving with one thing. You always end up leaving there with more than you thought you were gonna go in. So I go into Walmart, I grab a cart. Why am I grabbing a cart? I'm only grabbing one thing. I don't know, it's just what you do when you go shopping at Walmart. So I grab my cart and I go to the back of the store and there is milk. Now I have to give you some context. I have 4 children. If you have some spare time this week and you're like, I wonder if there's somebody or something I can pray about. I have 4 children. Guys, they go through milk like it's water. They go through like 6 to 8 gallons a week. So I know if I'm at the store, what do I need to get? Milk. So I grab a couple things of milk. Now we go to the cookie section. You can't have milk and not get cookies. Like, you've got to get cookies, right? So I go and I grab some good cookies for my children because I love them and I can't wait to get home to show off, look what dad bought you. Not only that, I say, you know what? I deserve some cookies. I should get cookies for me too. But I've been on this new thing where I'm trying to eat healthier. So instead of the regular cookies, I get the small, thin cookies because you think it's gonna be a healthier choice until you eat the whole bag and realize what start off as a healthy thing has become very unhealthy very quick. So I start putting things in my cart, one little by little. Then I realize, guys, I should get something for my wife. She'll enjoy something. So I find myself in the ice cream section. And guys, I know she loves mint chocolate chip ice cream. So I grab that off the shelf, put it inside my cart, and now I can't wait to check out. I get to the checkout, and now I'm checking things out. I get to the car, put it all in my car, and now I'm driving home, and I just can't wait to get home. Why? Because I can't wait, because I know what's gonna happen. She's gonna look at me and start singing my praises. Like, she's gonna come up with a brand new song about how great thou art, because she knows I just did an amazing moment. I just did something incredible, and I can't wait to show off all that I've done. You know what she's gonna do? She's gonna look at me eyeball to eyeball, and say, Alexa, turn on Boyz II Men. Like, I just know it's gonna happen, and I'm so excited for this moment. So I get all my stuff, and then I pull up to the house, and I do what you always do. I don't know who created this rule, but there's a rule. If you're gonna go grocery shopping, to get everything from your car to the house, you've gotta do it in one trip. So what do? You get the bags and you start rolling them up each arm until that arm has now lost blood circulation. And then you know that arm is complete. Then you get the other arm and you start rolling them up that arm and you still do it until that's complete. Guys, I did it all in one trip. I got into the house, I opened the door, dropped the bags, and I waited. My wife looks at me, looks at the bags, looks at me, looks at the bags, and says, "Where's the sauce?" Guys, I forgot the spaghetti sauce. I totally forgot. I got a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of great things, but I forgot the thing I went there for. Isn't that what we do with life? Like, don't we chase good things, fill our schedules, pack our lives, achieve great success, build great companies, become great leaders, and still feel empty? We find ourselves chasing more, still wondering, why am I here? Somehow we miss the point that you were created for a relationship with Jesus. A relationship with God takes us from merely existing to being fully alive, from going through the motions to being alive in Him. Recently, I heard something, or a while back ago, I heard a quote from a movie called Braveheart. And in that movie, there was a guy named William Wallace who said it like this: "Every man dies, but not every man really lives." Every man dies, but not every man really lives. Actually, someone said it a little better than that 2,000 years ago, and his man named Jesus, and he said it like this in John 10:10. He said, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that you may have life and have it to the full." See, William Wallace identified the problem, that people die and then realize they never really live. What Jesus does is he identifies the solution. In order for you to find life, I'm where you find it. Jesus is where you find and become fully alive. See, if we're gonna become people who are fully following Jesus, it means being close enough to being changed by Him. To live a life following Jesus takes you from a journey from where you're at to where God intended you to be. But what does this look like? Like, how do we live this out? It starts with 3 easy steps. Ready? Fully following Jesus means to know Him, walk with Him, and join Him in His work. All right, Joe, a lot of great words, but what does that all mean? Like, make it make sense. Help me build this to something that makes sense. Let's open up our Bibles to John 15:1. And while you're going there, let me set up some backgrounds of what's happening here. See, what's happening here in this moment is Jesus knows He's about to die. And because He knows He's about to die, if you knew you were about to die, you would use your time and your words wisely. What you say and who you spend time with would be very important. So this is exactly what Jesus does. He decides to have a conversation with people who mean a lot to Him. his followers, his disciples. And then he gives them this message. He ends right before he's about to end his life, this is what he says. He says, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch that does not bear fruit. He prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more. You will have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine. You cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. What is Jesus saying here? Jesus is simply saying, if you want to live a life that's full, then it starts with having a relationship with him. That you must be connected. He refers to himself as the vine, the source of life. So, for us to fully follow Jesus, it means to know him. What I want you to think about when you hear the words know him is relational. However, when it comes to relationships, you know there's a difference between being around somebody and being with somebody. Like, there's a difference between being around somebody and being with somebody. 2.5 years ago, me and my family, we moved here from California. And if you've ever moved, you know there's a lot involved in moving. Like, you've got to move and transfer all of your bills from one spot to the next spot. Not only do you have to do that, but then you have to go through all the stuff that you have. And in the process of going through all the stuff you have, you realize, I've got a lot of junk. Like, I've got and accumulated a lot of things. So now you have to sort through what are the things that you want to keep and what are the things you want to get rid of. Not only that, but then you have to close up relationships who are people who are there. You want to tell them goodbye, so you have lunches and dinners planned with all the people that you want to say goodbye to. Then there's a lot of things that you have to do with your work, and there's all this stuff that's going on. And in a busy season of all that going on, I found myself alone with 4 children. If you have special time this week and you want something to pray about, I've got 4 children. My wife is out, and now I'm here by myself trying to manage and figure out what do I do, because I got a lot of work to do, and I've got to get it done now. I don't have a lot of time, so I got everyone situated. Have you ever had to play the game where you have to try to get everyone in the right spot so you can get something done? So all of a sudden, I get my preteen, and he's already settled. Why? Because they live in their room. They don't ever escape their room. Perfect. Stay up there. Then I get my littles together, and they love Peppa. And Peppa does such a great job of getting them all together and situating them. I get them snacks, I get them food, all settled. You've got a drink, you're set, you're good. But I have a son, and his name is Zion. And Zion loves being active, loves making sure that I am with him in every moment and every time, everything that I do. I cannot lose sight of him, and he cannot lose sight of me. So I know, in order for me to get something done, I've got to be with him. So I situate him in the living room, and I put on his favorite movie. I put myself together and make a good little business center for me where I get my table, I've got my computer, I've got everything, and I turn on the TV, I give him some snacks, and I say, go. All of a sudden, we're watching it. 10 minutes into the movie, he looks at me, looks at the TV, looks at me, he says, Dad, Toy Story. For those who didn't understand that, that's his favorite movie, Toy Story. And I'm like, yes, son, it's a great movie. Toy Story, we're watching Toy Story. It's such a fun movie. Keep watching it. It gets better from here. 5 minutes have passed, and now he looks at me, looks at my laptop, looks back at the TV, looks back at me and says, Dad, Toy Story. And I'm like, son, I know, it's a great movie, so good, they've made like 5 billion of them, and you can watch them all day long. It's gonna be incredible. Buzz, Woody, they're great characters. They have a great storyline. Keep watching, it gets better. 5 minutes pass. He looks back at me, looks at my computer, looks back at me, gets closer to me. He closes my laptop and says, Dad, no phone, Toy Story. What was he saying? Simply this, Dad, I don't want to just be around you, I want to be with you. Dad, I don't want to just be next to you. What he understands is what we need to understand. Is proximity doesn't equal intimacy. See, just being around someone is not the same as being with someone. This is why so many people will struggle with religion. It's because they'll go through all the activities of religious activities. You'll go to church, you'll sit in small group, you'll sign up to serve, but wonder, why am I not changing? Why is nothing happening? Because there's a big difference with being around God and being with God. There's a difference between proximity and intimacy, and God is saying, I want to know you. I want to be in relationship with you. But being in relationship with you means being fully present with him. Here's the problem. There are so many things that are trying to get your attention. There are so many things keeping you from where you're at. In fact, there was a Harvard study who recently found out that 47% of the time, you aren't where your feet are. Joe, what are you saying? 47% of you aren't even listening to what I'm saying. Why? Because there's so many things going on in your head. Right now, you have a checklist of all the things that you have to do when you get home. You've got all the things that you're worried about, all the stuff that's happening, all the situations that are happening with your family, all the things that are going on in your life. And not only that, you've got this little buddy in your pocket named your phone. And he loves your attention. In fact, that same study found out that we touch our phones 2,617 times a day. Another study found out, Pew Research found out in 2021 that 70% of people say phones hurt in-person conversation and connection. But you didn't need research to tell you that. You didn't need research to tell you what I've been saying over and over again. Proximity doesn't equal intimacy. Because you know you could be in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, and still feel distant from somebody you're with. You know that you could be in the same area, live with the same people, and have all these moments for connection, but miss out on the very thing in which we need, which is connection. We can miss out on being with people. So Joe, what are you saying? My phone is evil and I need to throw it away? No, I'm saying God wants you to know him, but he wants a relationship with you, and it starts with you being present where you're at. So many things trying to keep your attention, so many things that are trying to get you to focus on other things. And God is saying, I want you to know me. And it starts with you being in relationship with him and being fully present with where you are. But relationships don't grow without movement. You don't just sit next to somebody and hope that they know you more. No, you've got to learn to walk with them. See, earlier we said that following Jesus means know him, which is relational. And the second thing is walk with him, which ends up being transformational. What does that look like? Well, let's open up back to John 15. We started earlier in 1-4. Now let's continue in 5. It says this, yes, I am the vine. You are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. See, there's two things I want to highlight here. One is in verse 2. I read earlier, it talked about cutting or pruning. He said, I'm gonna prune. Why? This is not God wanting to hurt us, not wanting something from us, but wanting what's best for us. Because in verse 5, it points out what the purpose of the pruning was. It says why? So that you might produce much fruit. What is much fruit? It means that you look and act like him. See, we are all being transformed into something. And what happens is the cutting was preparation for the transformation that would come ahead. The cutting was preparation for the transformation that would come ahead. We're all being formed by something. In fact, our environments, our people, everything that we spend time with ends up changing us and transforming us. Often, who you surround yourself with or what you surround yourself with influences what you're being transformed into. So earlier I told you, 2.5 years ago, we made the transition. We made the move from California to Pennsylvania. And I'm not sure I'm ready to admit I'm Pennsylvanian. But I can say I'm being formed into becoming Pennsylvanian. Joe, what do you mean? I'm so glad you asked. You guys ask great questions. So what I mean is, first winter was rough, guys. Like, I had a lot to figure out. I had a lot to think about. I had a lot to do. But second winter, guys, my snow shoveling game has picked up. Like, I've gotten so much better at this. I've realized what you've got to do. I've figured out this whole season things. I lived in California. We never had them. But here, I've learned that even in the spring, you can experience all 4 seasons in one day. Like, you wake up in the morning and it's freezing cold. You get it to the mid-afternoon and all of a sudden it's spring. It's beautiful. Late afternoon, the sun is out and beaming at your face and you're gonna get sunburned. Then later on in the late afternoon, all of a sudden now you're enjoying this fall breeze. It's amazing. I've never experienced it before, but I'm learning what it's like to be here. In fact, I'm learning what it's like to drive here. Guys, I'm learning how to go around horse and buggies. Not only that, I'm learning how to be less afraid of these things. Guys, these things terrified me, but now I'm learning how to adjust and how to live with them. Last night, I'm driving home, and guys, one ran right in front of me. It's like they know I'm talking about them, so now they're coming to attack. But guys, I dodged it so quick, I'm learning. In fact, I'm learning so much that the last time I showed you a picture, you guys said it wasn't a Pennsylvania deer. I didn't even know there was Pennsylvania deer. But I'm learning, I'm transforming to the point, guys, recently in a normal conversation, I used the word use guys. Guys, I don't know what's happening. It's just transformation is beginning to happen. How? Because you become like who you spend time with. Which brings me to my point. When you spend time with God, what ends up happening is you become like him. You walk, talk, and act like him. Why? Because you become more like him and less like you. See, that's the cutting that Jesus was talking about. The cutting would be the cutting of the old ways, the old you, the old person that you used to be. Why? So that you can bear more fruit, that you might look like him. But what does this look like? Well, a year ago, I decided to do something absolutely crazy. I decided to sign up for the Pittsburgh Half Marathon. Why is this crazy? Number one, I'm not a runner. Second reason, I think running's dumb. I'm so sorry. I know I offended some of you guys. You're like, oh my gosh, running's life. No, running's crazy. Like, you should never run. Why run? And then how do you enjoy the process of running? I think you should only run for 3 reasons. Run if you're in danger. In fact, run fast. It's a good reason to run. Run if you're playing a sport. Run fast. That is something worth doing. And then run if you're gonna experience good food. And if you have never had good enough food that you need to run to, I'm so sorry that your mom didn't do that for you. But guys, I've had food that's worth running for. Different message for a different day. But since I decided to do this, I knew I needed a few things. One, someone to keep me accountable, and a coach. And I couldn't afford a coach, so I found an app with the free AI feature in it. And you know what that jerk told me to do the first day? Get up and run. How dare you? You know what he told me the second day? Hey, get up and run a little bit more. What? Third day, get up and run a little bit more. Get up and run a little more. Get up and run a little more. Get up and relax. That was a good day. But then get up and keep on running more and more and more. You know what he never told me? Hey, today I want you to chill and just grab a Dr. Pepper and a bag of hot Cheetos and just relax. You know what it never told me? Hey, drive down the street, pull up to a Five Guys, get a double bacon and a pound of fries and just have yourself a day. You know what it never told me? Hey, drive down to Lancaster County, enjoy a smorgasbord and just enjoy a whole buffet of food. It never told me that. You know what it did tell me? Cut your time out of your schedule so that you can run. Cut things out of your diet because if you're going to run, you need to eat different. Cut your budget because now you're old and things that didn't hurt are starting to hurt anymore, and now you have to have the right shoes so things don't hurt as much anymore. Why was it telling me to cut? Not because it wanted to punish me. Because he knew that it wanted to create for me a brand new experience, a new way of living. See, it wasn't doing it because it wanted to punish me. It was doing it because it didn't want to hurt me. It was doing it because it wanted what's best for me. So what is Jesus asking you to cut? What are some of the things that are changing inside of your life that God's asking you to cut? Old way, old thinking, old stuff that needs to come out of your life. But I know what some of you are saying. Joe, I've been running with Jesus for a while. I think I've got this thing figured out. And the truth is, you may have a lot of knowledge about him, but do you know him? Like to the point that that knowledge is causing you to change. Like what if instead of running, I would have just learned more? Like I learned the science of running, the lactate thresholds and the heart zones. What if I can quote articles and cite studies and watch documentaries? What if I learn about all the right gear, the best shoes for flat feet and trail runs, compression gear and hydration belts and GPS watches? What if I could spend hours and hours reading reviews and browsing running world the vocabulary, and I learned all the right things of how to say things, and I started speaking like a pro, and I knew what tempo runs and negative splits are and PRs. What if I learned about nutrition and carb loading and gel electrolytes and hydration strategy? What if I could memorize everything that I needed to eat, and I memorized all the famous runners who ever ran before, and I knew people like Usain Bolt, who was an amazing fast runner, and I learned about people like Pavel Numi, who was a long distance and holds the record for the most Olympic medals. What if I knew all the information, had a lot of stats, knew a lot of things, and I knew a lot of information? The problem is information alone won't lead to transformation. Learning a lot about running will never make me a great runner, because information by itself doesn't lead to transformation. It's information plus application that leads to transformation. What are you doing with what you're learning? What are you doing with what you're doing? 'Cause something that we need to hear is that the words are his words transforming your life. This might mean we have to cut some things. We might have to cut some things out of our life. We might have to cut some old ways of thinking, old ways of doing, and old ways. You might fall, you might make mistakes, but are you bearing more fruit? Are you looking more like him? Not cutting because he wants to punish you. No, cutting because he wants you to look like him. Because following Jesus means you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because you can't have both, comfort and change. See, following Jesus means being close enough to being changed by him. And too often we find ourselves chasing comfort and inadvertently sacrificing change. Comfortable and knowing more information and more things about him, but not comfortable to the point that it's changing your life. Comfortable where we love the people who are easy to love, but not uncomfortable enough to love the people who are difficult to love. The people who irk your soul, the people who bother you, the people that you're thinking about right now that just entered into your mind as I said it, because you know that person that is so far that you're saying they need Jesus, but they can find Jesus elsewhere. So comfortable in our routines, but are you being transformed and changed by him? Which brings us to the last set of verses we read in John 15. John 15, 6-8. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like useless branches and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father. When you produce much fruit, when you look like him. So we said earlier, there are 3 ways to know that we're following him is 1, know him, which is relational, walk with him, which is transformational, and join him in his work, which is purposeful. All right, so what's my purpose? To produce much fruit. See, we become his true disciples and true followers of him when we look like him. So simply put, living a life that reflects his character. See, when we know him, we walk with him, what happens is we start to look, talk, and act like him. So what did he do? He invited people into relationship with him and then invested into their lives. And then he invites you to do the same. The way he said it was this. In Matthew 28, it says this, then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I'm with you always to the very end of the age. Put simply, he said, introduce people to Jesus and together fully follow him. But Joe, make it super simple. Like make it so plain that I have a picture of what purpose looks like. I'm so glad you asked. You guys ask great questions. Here it is. I know what you're thinking. You absolutely lost it. Like how does this picture now prove my purpose inside of my life? How does this reflect how I should be living my life? Well, upon my conversion to being more Pennsylvanian, I'm learning a lot about agriculture. And one of the things I've learned about this plant is this. It's called a sunflower. I used to believe it was called a sunflower because of the way it looked. Because it's big, it's bright, and its petals resemble rays. However, I found out the reason why we call it a sunflower is actually because it has a built-in circadian rhythm that actually follows the sun. It follows the sun and it looks like the sun. It follows and it looks just like what it follows. That is supposed to be our life. People who look, act, and talk like Jesus, because that's who we follow. But why is this so important to you, Joe? Like, why do you care about this so much? Because when I was younger, both my parents were heavily involved in gangs. My parents saw my oldest brother walking down the street looking just like them. And they realized that the decisions that they made were now impacting our future. So they packed up everything that we had, put it all in a car, and took off to Cottonwood, Arizona. When we were there, my parents still dressed, looked, and acted the same. So let's be honest, they were intimidating. But someone who worked with my mom looked past her past, looked past the way she dressed, the way she acted, and saw her as someone far from Jesus and invited her to church. It was because of that invite that they walked into the building, heard a message that transformed their life. And that day they trusted Jesus. From there, they began to get invested inside of their lives, so much so that they bought 2 buses for the church so that they could go into areas that were full of poverty and go help children and students get a bus ride to church. And we're picking up 300 students to Jesus. Why does this matter? Because I am here today because somebody knew their purpose was to join Jesus in his work, to introduce people to Jesus and together fully follow him. They knew what it meant to invite and invest. And because someone stepped into their purpose and joined Jesus in his work, I'm here. See, fully following Jesus means staying close enough to being changed by him and bold enough to help others do the same. And when we stay close enough, he transforms our way of thinking from somebody should to I can. It goes from thinking that, oh, someone should take care of that to no, I'm the person that God's calling to make that. So today, I leave you with this thought. What is Jesus asking you to do? And I dare you to do it. Thank you.
Would you stand and join us?
I went to Walmart to get spaghetti sauce, and I walked out with a lot of stuff, but missed the one thing I was there for. Don't do that with your life. John 10:10, I want to remind you, says, Jesus came that you might have a full life. Not full of things, not full of distractions, not full of accomplishments, but full of Him. Because fully following Jesus means being close enough to being changed by Him. So again, I ask you, what is Jesus asking you to do? Now I dare you, go do it. A few years ago, me and my son, we had a busy day and we were going and doing a bunch of activities, a bunch of errands, and we totally forgot to have breakfast, have lunch. And we get home and all of a sudden, he's like, Dad, I'm starving. He's so dramatic, I don't know where he gets it from. He's like, Dad, I'm hungry. And I'm like, okay, well, will you eat? And he says, yes. I said, son, you've got to let me finish. I haven't even told you what I'm going to tell you yet. He says, Dad, it doesn't matter. I said, yes. I said, all right. So I'm thinking I'm going to get him. You know, parents, how we do, we're like, are you sure? I know what you don't like. So will you eat? He says, yes. I said, son, you've got to let me finish. He says, Dad, it doesn't matter what you say. I'm going to say yes. I think that's what God's looking for. It's some people who say, it doesn't matter what you tell me to do. I'm going to say yes. You want me to go to a third world country, dig wells? I say yes. You want me to love my neighbor? I say yes. You want me to reconcile relationships? I say yes. You want me to love people who are far from you? Yes. You want me to lead a small group in my home? Yes. Invite the next generation? Yes. Invite somebody to church? Yes. Foster, forgive. You want me to help those who are hurting? Yes. God, show me. I'll go deep in this relationship with you. Whatever's breaking your heart, I say yes. So what is God challenging you to do? And I dare you, say yes.
We want to be people who say yes to where Jesus is calling us. We want to be people who are close enough to Him to change. If that's something that you want to pray about, or you have anything you want to pray about today, there will be people down in the left of all of our rooms. And if you're online, you can always drop a prayer request on our app or on our website. LCBC, may the Lord bless and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you His favor and give you His peace. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again next week.